Welcome back here, 2014 National Collegiate Paintball Championships. I'm Eddie Marshall alongside Todd Martinez, and we are about to watch the Fresno State Bulldogs take on the University of Connecticut Huskies. And the UConn Huskies, they've been playing college paintball for a long time, so let's see if they can continue to represent that franchise well. Bulldogs trying to represent California. California has had some luck here at the college championships over the years, as Long Beach State has won the championship in previous years. They're going to be playing at 4 o'clock Eastern time around this afternoon, actually against the UConn, or actually the Connecticut Huskies as well too. So that should be a good matchup. Regardless, here we go on the breakout. UConn on your right, and the Bulldogs on your left. Bulldogs able to make it all the way to the snake 50 out the break, but then he gets taken out. You're watching bodies drop on the D side of the field. And then here comes a move on the snake side for UConn. UConn making an awesome move to the 50 snake, running and gunning. And it gets a shot cross field at Sheenan. And he is making moves over here past the 50-yard line. He's got a good shot from the 50 though, cross field on the D side back bunker. And he's able to get that shot too. So nice quick work here. Bulldogs did get in position on the snake side, but not able to stay alive over here. And then once that snake was owned by UConn, those kills started to drop off the center and the D side. So the first point will go to UConn here. Just under a minute played so far in this first 10-minute half.
Yeah, that was a really impressive first point right there by UConn. Both teams made it to the snake on the break. Both got shot out, but UConn with that counter punch coming in right away as William Sheehan came in and dove into the snake, and UConn just rolled right over Fresno State that first point.
Looking at UConn there, slow-mo shot, holding that lane, perfect form there with the loader. He actually had the pod in his loader and had that lane. Let's check with the third member of our broadcast team.
Okay.
Amy Campbell, she's down on the sidelines with a little bit of insight for us.
That's right, guys. We saw UConn come out very aggressive and very quick and own that snake side. And I was talking to their captain, Spencer Stack. He told me that's going to be the key for them, owning that snake. That's what they've practiced. And they're feeling very confident in that. I said, are you going to be concerned about what they're doing if you need to make any adjustments? And he told me, no, we're really just going to focus on ourselves, and we'll think about them if they score some points and if we need to make any adjustments on that side of things. But they're focused on owning that snake, and they've practiced it, and they're confident, guys.
Well, that's kind of a good point, because when you come into a tournament, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say I don't think UConn and Fresno State have played each, because they're in different conferences, so they haven't played each other a ton. So when you're playing in a team, you're not really too sure how good they are or what's going on. I mean, yeah, maybe you know their record, but you haven't got a lot of reps against them. It's tough to really, and you haven't been able to strategize and scout them out. Yeah, you got to focus on yourself and ultimately just try to get your will to win stoked up and ready to go, and then make those moves that you guys planned out when you were doing all the game plans and walk in the fields. And then, yeah, and then try to, because paintball is about exerting your will on the other team, Todd.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Connor Tluck, number 20, you know, the main snake guy for UConn. We saw him, you know, dive right in there, the snake on the break. You know, same thing Fresno State, getting in there right away. Both teams, you know, after watching those first two games this morning as well, probably realizing that the snake is very makeable. You know, and, you know, from all the practice these guys have put in, coming out here trying to execute their game plans and, you know, just get into that snake, get kills, and then get up the field.
Now, on the flip side, if you do have a player emerge on the other team, or a couple players that are really starting to dominate you or doing specific moves, then, yeah, now you might want to double team that guy, throw some guns over there. Look at this. Oh, collision in the 50-yard line as both these teams trade out. Bulldogs trying to wheel a deal there and lay back down, feeling he shot the other guy first. Luckily, he didn't get a penalty there as Deans.
Yeah, that was Deans, again, making the snake on the break, you know, for the second time in a row for Fresno State. I feel like Deans and Tluck are going to be running into each other a lot in the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, but that's what we want to see. That's how you play this snake. If somebody is on the other side of the bunker from you, you have to get him out of there. You can't let him come around, shoot you, and stay alive. So nice job by both teams as they trade out. But here comes the Bulldogs. The referee's going to run over there. I was going to say it looked like he was doing good up in that center 50, but he must have taken a hit. He's going to draw a major penalty, and that's going to clear out another player. You know, if you get a penalty, you and a buddy are coming off, and then you have to go. If it's a major, it's 2 minutes, and then also minors are 1 minute. Minors come off the board if you lose the point. Majors stay on regardless, win or lose the point. And it looks like after a bloodbath here with players from both teams dropping and a penalty, looks like UConn still with 2 bodies alive on that D side. So they will be able to hang this flag up and take another point.
Yeah, and a big mistake right there, big mental mistake by Bauer. You know, he got that kill coming out here, but had a hit on him, drew a major, and then walked all the way to the box as his teammate got pulled. You know, that can cost you 10, 15 seconds. You know, when you have that 10, 15 seconds, that's the difference on the breakout.
Yeah, and you see the referee ran in there and pulled him out. And then as soon as you know that you got a penalty, your job is to sprint as fast as you can to get into that penalty box, because the time does not start ticking off until you make it in there. Still 1 minute and 35 seconds left on that Fresno State penalty. They will be down a body. So the score is 2-0. Here UConn up over Fresno State, and we'll be right back after this. So we are back here 52 seconds before the start of some more paintball action here at the NCPA Championships. Fresno State and UConn. Fresno State going to be down a body here. UConn on the power play. And, you know, both these teams seem relatively evenly matched, Todd, but that penalty was a big factor in the last point because that cleared an extra body over on the D side. But both these teams playing very aggressive to start this matchup. I love seeing that.
Yeah, I mean, Fresno was really in control of that last point, but then once they got that major penalty and lost the body, it was over with for them, and now they're going to have to be playing 4-on-5 for the next 135. So, you know, good break right there for UConn, who's playing very aggressively as well. You know, the player that, I mean, it was the player that shot the body coming out here for UConn on the snake side was the one that drew the penalty. But I see Tluck's going to get a rest at this point, but UConn's still going to go running to the snake. That's John Stingle, and he's going to make it in there on the break as well. With 4 bodies, Fresno State does not take the snake, but they get shot very quickly out of that snake side corner. Looks like Boothby, number 21, getting shot as soon as he got in there. Not what you want to do if you make that snake corner. You know, a great bunker to cut some time down off that penalty, but taking a bounce in the head, John Stingle getting bounced in that snake and gets a kill off the Dorito side of Fresno State.
Yeah, the referee was in there checking him out. There's Deans. He's in the snake right now for the Bulldogs, but UConn first person able to get to the 50-yard line. And so let's see if Deans can counter that move, because you do not want to have Stingle in that 50-yard line shutting down that center and on the D side of the field.
Osegueda jumping into that 50 Dorito for Fresno State. Stingle trying to get a shot on him. Osegueda crosses onto UConn's side of the field, and here comes Deans, and Deans is going to bunker out Stingle, and Stingle does the old whirly spin move on him, and he is going to draw a major. So Stingle going to have to run and go jump in that box.
Yeah, and Stingle was checking to see, he's like, where exactly did I get hit? He's still checking himself as he gets into the penalty box. But you can't spend too much time arguing with the refs, because, you know, that time does not start until you get to the box. So let's check out this replay here. And you're looking at Stingle as he gets run down.
Oh, it looks like he might have missed. That's what Stingle's saying. Stingle's like, you're calling me out. I didn't get shot. Where did he hit him?
Oh, I think he might have got bounced in the shoulder. Kind of hard to see.
Yeah, it looks like maybe the back of his left arm, but, you know.
I did see some spray coming off something in there. But still, you know, and you can see Stingle is just arguing, pleading his case over there. He's like, I did not get shot during that move. And we saw there on the replay, he actually might have a valid argument.
Yeah, you see the balls breaking on the bunker behind him. You know, as Deans came through, might have had his gun up a little high, didn't expect Stingle to be backed up off of that 50 little mini cake right there. And, you know, Stingle may have a valid argument, but, you know, in the boom boom play like that, you know, what the referee sees is Deans come around with the drop, and Stingle not knowing that he's coming. So,
yeah, so that could be a real big opening for Fresno State here, as now, though they have 14 seconds left on their own major penalty that they received, 1 minute and 55 seconds, left on the penalty for UConn. So both teams starting with 4. Let's check in with Amy on the sidelines.
That's right, guys. Fresno State very pumped up after that last point. They're kind of jumping around and skipping off of the field. Their coach came over and said, guys, paintball is a beautiful thing when you listen. He had been telling them over and over again to be aggressive on that snake side and on the Dorito side, and that's really what worked for them on that last one. So they're feeling very pumped up, and we'll see if that momentum carries into this next point, guys.
Yeah, and you got to listen to your coach. When you have a coach standing right on the side, because the coaches are right on the sidelines here, so they're able to joystick their players down the field, but only if the player listens to what he's saying. And it can get very frustrating if you're trying to give information to your player, and the player is just locked in his bunker and tunnel visioned on the person that he's shooting at. It's one of those fatal flaws in paintball. You really can't get tunnel vision on to whoever the person you're currently in a gunfight with. And another major penalty now assessed on UConn. So UConn starting to drop the ball here in this point, and that's going to basically take out their whole snake side and their center as well too. They still have 1 player in the center and 1 on the D side, but also the Bulldogs losing bodies, and it looks like Boothby might be hurt. Boothby is now gimping off the field, so let's hope, because Fresno doesn't have a very deep roster, and that could be a real big loss for them if Boothby's hurt. Dean's coming off early as well too, so though there was another penalty assessed on UConn, they still have 2 players left alive, both those players on the D side. Here comes the Bulldogs pushing up towards the center. Let's see if they can try to finish this point out quickly and keep all that time on those major penalties, because again, major penalties do not come off the clock and no matter what. Whether you win or lose the point, it doesn't matter. You have to do that entire 2-minute time period. So it looks like Fresno State is going to be able to tie this game up here at 2.
Yeah, and Chase Bauer was able to get out of the box for Fresno State. You know, as the coach for Fresno State's yelling at his player to run the flag in. You know, Connor Tluck earning that penalty, coming out here to the snake side for UConn, joining his other snake buddy Stingle in the box. So UConn, after a very impressive first point, comes out and lets Fresno State get right back in this game, earning a couple penalties, giving them some free bodies. So, you know, just about 5 minutes, just over 5 minutes left to go here in this first half.
Hey, very entertaining game so far.
Yeah.
A bloody game, bunk guys getting just like, again, this snake is going to be straight trench warfare. We've seen it time and time again. We saw it at Dallas, it's the Dallas layout for the PSP. And man, it was an insane, awesome, and entertaining tournament to watch. But lots of penalties out there, and these teams, they should have known by watching the earlier games that these refs are on it out there, and they're calling a lot of penalties. Let's check in with Amy. Maybe she has a little bit of an injury update for us and see if Boothby's okay or not.
I do have a bit of an injury update. I actually just spoke to him. He told me he's got some nagging knee issues. It's something he's been dealing with for a few months. It's given him a little bit of problems right now, so he needs to be very careful when he's sliding around. So it's just something he's keeping in mind. But he said, this is my last big event. I am not about to let a little something like this keep me from playing. So he's going to be right back out there, guys.
Yeah, knee injuries are tough. Todd, you know well all about knee injuries, as that you had a couple of those late in your career.
Yeah, I had a torn PCL in my right knee. It hurt my MCL in my left knee. You know, both of them just made me not want to play paintball very much anymore.
Yeah, you kind of need it. You can see the top left portion of your screen as he tried to get out wide on that snake side of the field, and he pulled up a little lame, and then you can see he's gimping off. Yeah, and he's got that issue there with that left knee. So, you know, hopefully, you know, hey, man, if it's your last big event in your college paintball career, you know, this is the championship. And that's a lot of heart shown by Boothby out there as he runs wide out again and able to get, I think he gets, no, he does get shot trying to get out wide. 4 players left alive for the Bulldogs. And UConn still with, they have still 2 players sitting in the box. Yeah. But that kill's definitely going to help them out.
Yeah, they got Sheehan over here on the snake side, you know, that 2 for UConn, who's a very solid player looking right now, but nobody is watching them move through the middle as Deans tries to make the cut along the inside to bunker Sheehan out. I don't think anybody picked him up except for the Dorito side corner.
Yeah, he got greedy though, man. He got pretty greedy on that.
He didn't have to make that move. I mean, Deans was just coming into the 50 snake those first couple games, and this time decided to cut through the middle. If he'd have just gone to the 50 snake, he'd have shot the whole UConn Dorito side out.
Yeah, I mean, I love the aggression from Deans. That kid obviously is hungry for it out there, but he just took too big of a bite and got his team a penalty. And so now it looks like one player making it out clean, so 2 players alive now. Another player making it out clean for UConn. So UConn with 3 players, but they just lost another one, so 2 players left alive for them. And I believe it's 2-on-2. No, the Bulldogs lose their 50-yard line D-side presence. And here comes UConn trying to finish out the last player left alive. They need to spread the field. They're trying to do it now, and they are able to do it. So UConn able to fight through those penalties. Fresno State getting a penalty of their own, and UConn is going to go up 3-2 with 3 minutes and 31 seconds to play in this first half.
Yeah, UConn right there, able to burn that penalty. I mean, they definitely got a gift with Deans trying to make that move. Kind of sloppy, kind of unnecessary. So, I mean, got a gift, was able to not only get their 2 players out of the box, but win that point. You know, Matt, you were talking about earlier how, when you're playing with a penalty, it's an opportunity to gain that momentum. That is a momentum swing right there.
Absolutely.
When you win a point that you started with 3 bodies.
You start, yeah. It was 3-on-5, and they were able to get a kill off the break. To take it to 4-on-3, then the penalty happened on Fresno State, and then, whoa, lo and behold, UConn taking the lead 3-2. And with 3 minutes, 31 seconds to go in the first half, we'll be right back after these commercial messages.
Being confident in yourself is important. Being confident in your equipment is a must. When you do the hard work of getting to that spot on the field, you must have the confidence to seize the opportunity. My name is Brad McCurley. I play for Team Infamous, and the Vanquish takes my game to another level.
So we got ourselves a close match here. 3-2 is the score, with UConn having a slight lead. And Fresno State still has 1 minute and 11 seconds on that major penalty assess, as Dean got a little greedy over here on the snake side. But I love the aggression I see out of that kid. So hopefully, and that's one of those things, is that when you do get a major penalty like that, pushing into the red line, you really kind of have to maintain your composure. Okay, yeah, I got a penalty, so I got to play a little bit cleaner. However, you don't want to tune the aggression back too much, because you need it on this snake side of the field to prevail.
And here goes Fresno State with 1 body in the box now. Oh, and UConn, no sooner do they get out of the box, do they go back to the box as they get a major going out to the Dorito side of the field. Going to open up the door for Chase Bauer again, who just got out of the box himself, to come up to the middle of the field. And now Osagueda again attacking that Dorito side up in the 50 again, and UConn fighting on their heels. Runowitz and Stingle over here, the last 2 remaining players for UConn, trying to battle. Oh, and looks like one of them got a shot in on the inside Dorito, so the Bulldogs lose another player. I think that makes it a 2-on-2 now. Runowitz and Stingle battling back.
And Todd, look at this. Stingle taking the huge bite, trying to get up in the center, but he gets torched. So it looks like it might
Stingle.
be a 1-on-1. No, there's still another body left alive for the Bulldogs on the D side of the field. So we got ourselves a 1-on-2 in a situation where the Bulldogs, and they need to win this point to tie it up. They have a 1-body advantage. No, now it's a 1-on-1.
Yeah, Osagueda's died. So now it is just Bauer versus Runowitz.
And this is kind of a bad spot for Runowitz, as, yeah, he ends up getting shot out of his bunker. Whoa, look at this, lo and behold. What a chaotic point, man. We saw in Dallas point after point like this, where bodies were dropping so fast. We're trying to figure out exactly what's happening out there, and and then send the information to you guys. But hey, in that chaotic, crazy point, Fresno State able to prevail, and they are now going to tie it up. It's going to be 3-on-3. UConn still 46 seconds on that penalty that was assessed on them. 2 minutes and 3 seconds remain here in the first half.
Yeah, just at the end of that 1-on-1 there, Deans was able to come out of the box. Didn't really play a factor, but here you see that major penalty on the break going to that Dorito side can, getting pulled, and there's Runowitz, number 6 for UConn in the 1-on-1, and he gets shot just in the arm there, just playing a little bit too sloppy. And when you're in the 1-on-1 and you have your coach right next to you, there's really no excuse to be playing that sloppy. You got to tighten it up, listen to your coach. I mean, just tuck in and don't even shoot your gun if you need to reload. Wait for your coach to tell you what's going on, the advantage that they have over here. And You know, just a good move right there by Chase Bauer to win that one-on-one.
Well, that's what it takes, man. You need to get it together, win those one-on-ones, and tie it up for your team. So, you know, awesome job by Fresno State to stay in this match, tied up against UConn here 3-3. And what a great match, though. Back and forth. It's been chaotic with the penalties, but I really like what I see out of both these teams. I like how they're playing the game. I like the aggression on the Snake side. Good gunfighting ability. It seems like both teams are pretty sharp on their technical skills. You know, so I'm hoping we're going to get to see a close match and that it will continue to stay close as things move forward here. And then after this game, we have the last game for the morning bracket. This first day of the NCPA Championships is going to be Florida State Seminoles taking on the Akron Zips.
Yeah, a lot of good games today. You know, a lot of good matchups. Thanks everybody for joining us. Stick with us throughout the day. You're going to see some awesome college paintball action out here as UConn about to break out with 4 bodies.
So now here for alive for UConn, like you were saying, Todd, but they lose a body heading out wide. So with 3 bodies left alive, they are able to take the Snake, but Bulldogs lose a body as well, too.
Yeah, and that's Tluck again in the 50 for UConn. Right away gets a kill on the Dorito side of the field. Peels a body, but then Tluck gets shot out of the 50. Man, you work so hard to get up there.
Another body, though, dropping for the Bulldogs. So here comes UConn moving up into the center 50, trying to shoot out wide toward the D side of the field, back bunker.
Yeah, that's Spencer Stack, but he gets shot shortly after making it up there. We got Dean still alive in the Snake side corner, as well as number 8, William Sheehan, again in that Snake side corner, but Sheehan gets shot coming up out of the box right now for UConn. The last body alive for UConn, facing a 2-on-1, it appears, against Deans over here in the corner, as the Bulldog coach yelling and screaming at his players to get up the field. He's got Anthony Venegas now in that center structure. Dean's gonna get up here into the Snake and get involved. And just not enough UConn right there. So doing a good job of taking advantage of the penalties that UConn's getting. Fresno State Bulldogs gonna run that flag in. Venegas over there on the Dorito side. So, you know, we've seen a lot of Matthew Deans over here on the Snake side for Fresno State.
Yeah, and you see that bump over, wasn't able to get it done. And then look at the center action here. Oh, gets UConn getting blown up there. And then Mapley trying to load, losing a bunch of balls. You know, it's tough to load under fire like that. And Mapley able to get shot out of there. So now Fresno State taking the lead against UConn in a straight bloodbath of a game. We're seeing lots of bodies drop early, guys get shot the break, penalties back and forth, but Fresno State edging the lead out here by 1. Just 35 seconds to play before the end of the first half, but on this fast field layout, you definitely can score a point in 35 seconds.
Yeah, definitely can. You know, we watched those first 2 matches where ECU was just getting laced up by Liberty, point after point after point, and then Kennesaw State, you know, just taking it to Cornell, beating them pretty good, pretty quickly.
Yeah, so let's check in with Amy here on the sidelines. Looks like she has a little bit of commentary on UConn. Amy, what's going on down there?
Yeah, you guys mentioned the amount of penalties that's been going on in this game, and UConn not happy about it. They said, we haven't had this many majors all season. They are absolutely loving these red flags right now. We act like we've never played this game before. We need to clean up those mental mistakes. Another adjustment they want to make is getting into the Snake more. They said Fresno State is barely getting into the Snake at all. That can be an area where they can establish dominance and maybe pull ahead in this neck-and-neck race. Guys?
Yeah, well, that's always frustrating, but hey, you know, that's why paintball's fun and challenging. It's just it's a giant test. It's a fun test, and it's hard because, you know, there's a lot of pressure on you. You get shot at. There's game plays you got to worry about. You have to worry about your actual positional knowledge, the tactics in the game, the skills, the personal skills, and the tactical skills it takes to play the bunker. There's so much going on in your head, and that's why we always say paintball, man, 90% mental. So here we go on this next breakout. Can Fresno State maintain their lead, or is UConn going to put one on the board? Both teams back at full strength here.
I don't know, but Matthew Deans once again straight to the Snake on the break, gets in there, and UConn again losing bodies off that Dorito side early. So Dean's right now going to go to work. He's got a clear shot in on that Dorito side can, and right away takes advantage, gets one shot, kills another body off that side of the field. Runawitz over here in the snake side corner, but here comes number 12, Chase Bauer, down the center of the field, and Chase Bauer just annihilates number 51.
I don't know. Did he get in time though, Todd? I mean, there was only 35 seconds, and knowing that Fresno State trying to push the early advantage they got with those kills, it looks like the hang is clean. So at the last second, Fresno State able to put another point on the board to go up by 2, 5-3, and there was that last move. And you see he comes down, putting pain on the back bunker. Bam! Drops one in on the ribs, and then tries to get past the ref to hang it up. Nice job by Bauer.
Well, I got to give him that one. That was so close.
That was nasty. That was close, though.
Nice move right there by Bauer. Bauer's been playing that center pretty well. I mean, he did get a penalty up in there earlier, but, you know, he's seeing the bodies drop off the Dorito side for UConn and then attacking that side of the A real quick. That's what you want out of your twos. You want to see where the bodies drop, assess the situation, and then look to make an aggressive move right away.
Well, I haven't seen the point put on the board, though, Todd. And it was 4-3, right, to start that last point? Yeah, so I don't know if they actually were able to hang that flag in time. No, the referee is signaling that the hang was good. Yeah, anytime you see the referees give that thumbs up sign, so the flag gets hung, and then look for the referee to give that thumbs up to see if the hang is clean. So it looks like the score is going to be 5-3. Well, let's check in with Amy Campbell. She's with Spencer from UConn. Amy, what's going on down there?
All right, Spencer, guys are down by 2 heading into the half. What are they doing that is giving you so much trouble right now?
I think we're hurting ourselves more than they're hurting us. It's all penalties. The heat's getting to us. We're just making mental mistakes, and we're not playing our game, but we're only down by 2. We've come back from a lot worse. We're just going to come out swinging in the next half.
Yeah, I know you told me that you guys want to focus on yourselves and not what they're doing. What are going to be some of the adjustments you guys want to make going into this next half?
Like I said before, we just need to start pushing the snake. I think 3 points in a row, they didn't even fill it. So, I mean, we just got to clear up the mental mistakes, start pushing the snake and shooting bodies.
All right, thanks so much. Best of luck in the second half. Guys?
Yeah, Amy, well, they are definitely hurting themselves. That's a good breakdown by Spencer. Though, you know, hey, man, Spencer, this is not Florida hot, you know, so I know you guys are up from the Northeast, but it could get hotter as the weekend goes down. So hopefully they got a little bit more legs underneath them because it's, you know, this is their first match, and it's going to be a long weekend. So 3 minutes left to go before the start of the second half. We'll be right back after this. So we are. Yeah, so we're back here. 3-4 is the actual score. So the hang was clean, but time had just expired. So the hang does not count. But still was an awesome move. And again, when you finish off the first half like that, you know, even though you don't get the point, UConn still, they're going to have to go back, wipe those rib hits off, and be thinking still, okay, well, another awesome move just got handled to us. So we need to get it together here. UConn making a lot of mental mistakes, Todd, in that first half.
Yeah, I mean, that side of the field over there on the Dorito side is where they got all their majors from. You know, got one penalty over here on the Snake side. But, I mean, if UConn can clean up these penalties that they're getting, I mean, they're in this game. This is a one-point game over here. And even with all the majors that they've been serving, you know, they're still able to keep it close. You know, we'll see, you know, if this will be a tale of two halves for one of these teams. You know, one of them get it together and really try and stack some points in a row here. You know, it's like, you know, you get a point, you give a point, you get a point, you give a point. You know, one of these teams needs to go on a little bit of a run here and try and create some separation.
Well, like you said, 1-point game here, and if UConn can fix the mental mistakes that they had displayed in the first half, then yeah, they'd be putting up a much stronger fight. They're already putting a strong fight up, but you know, Fresno State, they also had a fair share of penalties and made some mistakes too. But UConn seems very confident, and that's a good thing, can also be a bad thing. You do not want to underestimate any team. And it looks like, oh, they are going to give him the hang. So a lot of, it's like, can we please refs, please give us the correct information so we can give everyone at home the correct information. So the score now 5-3, a little bit different ball game now. But still, you know, 10 minutes, ton of time on this field. These points can go real fast. So here we go on the start out of this next point here. Big move by the Bulldogs as these teams switch fields to try to fill the back bunker on the Snake side. And then we're looking at it from the D side for UConn right now, over the shoulder of the players on the D side. And it looks like Bulldogs starting to drop bodies, 3 bodies dropping pretty much at the same time for Fresno State. This is exactly what UConn wanted to happen. Let's see if they can utilize this advantage that they've created for themselves in those gunfights. And those were all gunfights, Todd. It looked like all those kills happened out of the bunkers and pretty much all at the same time.
Yeah.
You do not want that. If you're the Bulldogs and you have a good lead, or not a good lead, but a 2-point lead, and you're playing a strong team like UConn who's made a bunch of mental mistakes, you don't want to drop 3 bodies out of your bunker at the same time.
Well, Boothby sat in the flag station trying to get a kill on Tluck, running to that Snake on the break, but Boothby shot and then delayed out here to the Snake corner, got shot on the delay, but as he did that, Deans got shot out of his bunker and then unable to shoot Connor Tluck, who made it right into the 50 for UConn. He's the one that went to work on that Dorito side of the field. Watch this replay right here. You know, here's at that end game. I believe that was William Sheehan. I think he might have switched sides of the field. We saw him over here on the Snake side, along with Miles Anderson from UConn, making some moves down that Dorito side of the field, getting involved and bringing this back to a 1-point game.
Yeah, 9 minutes and 12s to go. We've seen a lot of fast points. We're going to continue to see fast points. It's really hard to play defensive on this field. You have to have a good offense in order to prevail on a field layout like this. And both these teams very hungry and coming here to play the second half. I really liked that UConn picked it back up here and was able to keep bodies alive. Most importantly, win some gunfights, and that you know, put Fresno State on their heels. They weren't able to get it done. So now UConn going to be 5 strong. Also Fresno State 5 strong. Really got to be careful with penalties. We've seen just nothing but red flags all morning long.
Yeah, I mean, red flags left and right, man. You know, it's crazy how many majors that we've seen out here so far. You know, some of these teams like ECU and Cornell unable to fight back from those major penalties. But, you know, we've seen reds on both sides of the fields here in this matchup. And, you know, like you said, it's just been a bloodbath out here. Both teams getting penalties, bunkering dudes, getting bunkered. You know, it's that type of field layout. You know, that's why this field layout's been so exciting to watch throughout Dallas, throughout here, you know, in the morning. You know, the way people are just attacking this Snake, you know, it's fun to see.
Yeah, man, we saw such an awesome tournament. It was one of the most exciting tournaments I've ever seen. The Dallas opener for the PSP season. Go to paintballaccess.com, you know, and go to our YouTube channel and check out some of those matches. And also get ready for the Mid-Atlantic Open coming at you May 2nd through the 4th, about 3 weeks away. It's going to be crazy. So many stories going on.
Connor Tluck making the Snake on the break, but as he turns the corner, getting shot in the shoulder. And UConn right now loses 2 bodies on the Dorito side of the field right away. 3 bodies off the Dorito side of the field. Just 1 body left alive right now for UConn as Fresno State comes charging back through the middle once again. There goes Chase Bauer along with a full line of Fresno State Bulldogs, and Chase Bauer just comes over the top on Sheehan and gives him the flamethrower.
What a great back and forth match this is already. And these teams look strong. You know, I think there's talent on both these teams. They seem relatively deep in the sense, you know, not necessarily deep for Fresno as far as bodies. I mean, they're only playing really with 7 guys. You can only field 5 at a time. But let's check out this break here from Fresno. Boom, all the way into Snake 1 off the break. And then you can see the bodies at the top portion of the screen kind of starting to drop for UConn. And then there's UConn trying to play as tight as possible. Just couldn't get tight enough in there, forced to tap out, getting bunkered. And just awesome work by Fresno State to take a 2-point lead here with 8 minutes and 26 seconds to go. We'll be right back after this. 2014 NCPA Championships coming at you from Central Florida Paintball here in Lakeland. And Matty Marshall with Todd Martinez. And man, what a game so far. Fresno State represent California. You know, California is such a hotbed of paintball throughout the entire history of the sport. UConn done so well over the years here in the NCPA and trying to represent for their school and maybe have another championship. You know, UConn does look very strong this year. A lot of talent on that team. Both these teams, like I said before the commercial break, relatively deep, though many more players to field for UConn. So Fresno State running kind of a skeleton crew, but Fresno State, even though they only have 7 players to play those 5 spots, so they're going to have to kind of dig deep throughout the weekend. I really like what those 7 guys got to bring out here for this event.
Venegas getting shot out of that snake side corner for Fresno State. We still have Boothby over here on the snake side for Fresno, but Fresno losing bodies all over the place. Osagueta getting shot along with Alex Henley over there. So just Boothby and Bauer alive for Fresno State. UConn now pushing hard up the Dorito side, slides into the 50 Dorito. Just one body left over here now. Boothby for Fresno State goes into the snake, and I think that's just going to get himself bunkered as coming down the middle of the field, number 51, Nick Vernadakis. And absolutely right, Boothby right there, you know, kind of spun on Vernadakis as he came through the middle. Really, really unnecessary penalty. You know, if you're a Boothby, no need to dive into that snake.
Oh, but
you know,
look,
just try and battle.
But Todd, look, Boothby, as Boothby actually takes a knee, that his knee actually might be hurting him. You know, he's fighting through that, as you see on the replay. There's Bauer getting shot, and then here comes Vernadakis to take out, was that? Boothby. Yeah, it was Boothby. Yeah, Boothby. So, and Boothby's needs a moment here as he's kind of arguing with the referees, but he was fighting through that knee injury and showing a lot of heart, but did spin there at the last portion, but he's arguing over that. So there's Boothby. And you can see here, now Boothby with that bum left knee, and let's see if he hits it. Oh, it took actually his right knee is what pounded into the ground. And that's one of the things you got to avoid. You kind of got to commit a little bit more with your chest and kind of glide in on the tips of your elbows and on your forearms, depending on your style. But you really want to avoid hitting your knees when you dive in head first like that. And luckily for him, it looked like his right knee was the one that he punted into the ground there because the left knee is the one that's been hurting him. But regardless, he did get that penalty as he got ran down, which puts Fresno State now down a body. UConn is going to be on the power play. UConn only 1 point away from tying this up with 7 minutes and 24 seconds to go.
Yeah, you know, we're pretty critical of these college players out here because we're so used to watching the pro game, Maddie. But, I mean, this is where communication, again, you know, plays another huge part of winning a paintball game. You know, if you're Boothby and you know that you're the last body and you haven't heard more than 1 kill or 2 kills, you know, stay in a spot where you can at least fight from your feet. When he was in that temple right there, he decides to dive in to the snake, got bunkered, ended up earning himself a penalty.
Well, let's check in with Amy on the sidelines.
Yeah, you guys mentioned it. Boothby just came off not happy about that penalty. His team not happy about it, and neither is his coach. He said, guys, stupid stuff like that is not going to win this. And Boothby was not happy about the call. He was frustrated with it, and his team frustrated that he didn't run back to that box. And he said, it was my knee, guys. He said he couldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, just the gutsy performance for him to even be getting out there with his bum knee, knowing that this is his last chance for greatness in collegiate paintball, so toughing through it. But, you know, I mean, that's just, you know, when you have an injury like that, unfortunately, it's just, yeah, maybe he can't physically sprint back there or just trying to maintain the life that's left in that leg. And look at this, though, the Bulldogs just getting handled here as UConn on the power play, really pushing that advantage. And I think they only lost 1 body. No, they didn't even lose a body. So really well done by UConn as they hang the flag up to tie this up at 6.
Yeah, good heads-up play right there by number 8, Sheehan. You know, once again, you know, he seems like his field awareness is pretty on point over here, recognizing as the rest of his teammates are kind of walking in, looking to close out the game, comes from the back on the snake side, runs and grabs the flag and goes and hangs it to preserve the time on that major penalty. So, you know, I've been impressed this morning so far by a couple players, you know, that we've seen out here so far. You know, we had, you know, we watched that earlier game from Kennesaw State. You know, they had a couple players that were playing really well. And, you know, some of those players from Cornell just really attacking that snake kind of
Yeah,
hard.
well, that's what it's all about, man. Who's going to step up for their team to represent here at the NCPA Championships? Well, it's all tied up at 6 apiece. We'll be right back after this.
The Empire X Pro comes with an extended grip frame and new grip for increased comfort, 8 firing modes with OLED screen, including semi-automatic, ramping, burst, fully automatic, PSP burst, PSP ramping, and Millennium ramping. Empire Relay Regulator ASA with on-off lever, magnetic trigger for smooth firing action, and a carbon fiber Super Freak barrel kit with 5 inserts. More information about this marker is available on the product page at empirepaintball.com.
So welcome back here, 2014 College Championships. I'm Matty Marshall with Todd Martinez, and we got ourselves a tie game. I really like the fight I'm seeing out of both these teams. UConn taking on the Bulldogs from Fresno State, representing California. Again, hotbed of paintball talent for years has been the state of California, but UConn has been a really dominant team here in the NCPA for years, Todd. So it's cool to see finally a really close match, as we had two, one big blowout, one semi-big blowout. As we saw the first game this morning, Liberty Flames ended up taking out the Pirates from East Carolina. But that game was really awesome in the first half, so it's kind of a seesaw game. But right now, we've got ourselves a great match.
Yeah, both these teams playing really well. UConn, we see now that they're not getting penalties on this side of the field, playing a little bit better, kind of be able to execute their game plans a little bit more. We got a timeout on the field right now, but both these teams, now that it's a 6-6 game, both teams kind of understand what's going on right now. Both of them, Fresno State playing still 1:21 left on that penalty, so UConn going to have the advantage here. See if they can run up a couple points like Fresno State did to them when they had the penalty.
Yeah, well, penalties have played a gigantic factor in these matches so far, as they always do. You want to play as clean as you possibly can out there. But hey, it's a sport like any other. I've never seen a paintball game played without penalties. They're going to come, but you really want to stay away from those majors. Minors come, majors, that's something you probably should have known about. That's a blatant spinning move. If you get shot with an obvious hit and continue to push forward, those are the penalties you really want to stay away from. But unfortunately for a lot of teams out here this morning so far, that's what we've seen the majority of. We've seen overwhelmingly a majority of major penalties, which are signified by a red flag being thrown in the air by a referee. Those are 2-minute majors. And the reason why they're so devastating is because that 2-minute time period that you have to serve, it's on the clock. Whether you win or lose the point, minors come off. So can these two teams play clean here as we're tied up? 6 minutes and 42 seconds to go as these two teams break out. And it looks like UConn is the first to get to the snake. But as we just start talking about penalties, disaster strikes for UConn, and they get a penalty themselves. Another major penalty, Todd.
Yeah, Osageta got shot coming out here. Looked like Tluck was going to have some free reign on the snake side of the field, but on that Dorito side of the field, all the bodies walk off for UConn. So just 2 players left alive now. Again, Tluck is in the 50, and he's got Sheehan behind him. Good heads-up move by Sheehan to get to a spot where he could protect Tluck, but Tluck loses a gun battle after he shoots a couple players. So just Sheehan again over here in the snake side corner versus Chase Bauer.
But Todd, bodies dropping for Fresno State as well. They still have a body in the snake, or in the penalty box with Boothby. He's going to come out in the next 25 seconds. So actually, Todd, I think it was a minor that was called on UConn. I saw red flags on the ground, but they must have changed it to a minor penalty. So they're actually going to get their body out first before Fresno State gets their body back.
Yeah, this could be pretty interesting right now when Boothby comes out, because Boothby is going to have a little bit of an advantage as he gets ready to run out of the box. And here comes Boothby. He's going to book out all the way to the Dorito side. He gets shot in the leg on the way out. really did not need to run that far. Good job by Sheehan to pick him up and get a shot in on him, because now Sheehan is still in a one-on-one, and he has a body in the box against Chase Bauer, as Chase Bauer comes jaunting through the middle of the field, comes onto Sheehan's side of the field, and now these two players locked in a one-on-one, both in these stand-up temples. So, I mean, Bauer does a good job of putting himself in position to shoot the box once the UConn player comes out. But, you know, I think if Sheehan's smart, you know, once that clock starts ticking down and it's time for that to happen, then that's when Sheehan should make his move.
Yeah, and you see there's just a few seconds left on that UConn penalty. It's actually on UConn. That player is ready to come out here, and these two guys are locked in, but it's, oh, and UConn stepping up to win the one-on-one right before they get their body out of the box. And you could see the breath of fresh air in the body language for a player who was in the box for UConn. Man, it was Bedard. Man, he did not want to have to come right out into the gun for Fresno State. But regardless, man, great job by UConn to win that one-on-one right there. Beautiful work to take the lead. You can see it here. Boom, drops the shot in on him, puts another ball in his back. And man, that was a great job. It was Grant Bedard who was able to win that one-on-one. Beautiful work. Is that Bedard? Yeah, but it was.
I thought Chase Bauer, you know, all he had to do was kind of sit there. It would have been smarter for Bauer to stay at that tower and then just shoot the box and then work the one-on-one. I mean, he put himself where he was fully exposed to the player in the box. Even if he didn't have a shot in on Sheehan, then, you know, the player coming out of the box was at least going to trade with him anyway. So, you know, probably could have been worked a little bit smarter, but hey, we're up here, they're down there.
Exactly.
They're playing off their instincts and trying to win games.
But that's why paintball is so intricate and complex and so interesting to watch when you know that higher level of paintball knowledge, and super fun to play because it takes so long to master those hard, complex situations. Let's check in with Amy Campbell, the third member of our broadcast team. She's down in the pits.
That's right, guys. What a great point that was. Very exciting matchup. As you mentioned, in the UConn pit, they were absolutely loving it. They were cheers all around, high fives for Sheehan when he came off, and he was very excited about that. And then he kind of took off his mask and took a sigh of relief and said, okay, guys, I'm going to pass out now. So he may be taking a break on the next point, guys.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You know, it's half paintball, so you have two halves of 10 minutes each. And they got a lot of games to play. So, you know, that being said, endurance definitely plays a factor out here, and a big one as you move on in the tournament. Now, these guys really should have fresh legs here, you know, first couple games of the day and of the tournament, but as things progress, but regardless, no matter how, the adrenaline dump that you get when you're playing out there, so regardless of how in shape you are, if you're not used to that adrenaline dump in those pressure situations, that'll get to you sometimes. So here we go, UConn with a 1-point lead against Fresno State, 4 minutes and 5 seconds to play, and it looks like the Bulldogs able to get into the snake. You're looking at the D-side action over the shoulder for Fresno State right there, and there's UConn on the left. Oh, losing a battle in that center, and it's Bedard. No, wait, who is in the snake for Fresno State right now?
That's Deans
again.
again.
Dean again in the snake, but it looks like Fresno State getting a minor penalty, but God, this has been such a crazy tournament so far. Penalties all over, back and forth in this game right here.
Yeah, Osageta is playing way better on that Dorito side of the field for Fresno State. I mean, every time we see him over there, they're getting kills off that side of the field and attacking right away. UConn sending a lot of bodies to that Dorito side of the field, but just getting blown up right away. And Osageta, we've seen him in the 50 about as much as we've seen Deans in the 50 snake over here for Fresno State.
Well, Fresno State's in a real good position right now. Though they have a penalty, they're going to get their body back in 23 seconds. Still 3:03 left to go. But they've really put UConn here on their heels. One player left alive in the back bunker fighting for his life.
Ooh, Osageta gets shot out of the 50 Dorito.
Ooh, so now we got another one-on-one. But I think, is UConn concede the point?
I think they might have once their body got shot.
Oh, so they have to concede that. But oh, did their last player get shot?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the last player got shot. Dean's able to get that shot. So Dean's playing real well over here, mostly for Fresno. He has made a couple mistakes, but other than that, hey, man, it's impossible to play 100% paintball. That's why mental tenacity is so important in this game. You have to have selective amnesia when you're out there. So if you go out and get a penalty, which we've seen tons of players do so far in these games, you know, hey, it's like you're playing roulette out there, man. Every single time that wheel spins, it's a completely separate repetition. You can't let what happened in the past affect you too much other than to tighten it up and improve upon your deficiencies. Anyway, we got ourselves a tie game. Fresno State, though, still going to have that body in the box. We'll be right back after this. Back on the field here, looking in the pits for the Bulldogs. It's all tied up at 7 apiece. UConn will be on a power play to start this point now. Now that does play, it's an issue because you know what that means is that you're losing 20% of your firepower off the break. On a field layout like this, where you have guys running out wide, guys shooting off the break, there are no back bunkers. There's no central back bunker, so nowhere to hide off the break. So what that's going to do is that it's going to give UConn a 20% advantage off the break as they have one more gun up. Look at the team spin around. Look at that, all 5 guns up there for both those teams. And it looks like Bulldogs, they lose a body and able to make it to the snake. They're about to get their guy out of the box, though. And UConn losing 2 players, though. So back and forth here at the start of this point. And it looks like the Bulldogs able to get their body out clean, but then they lose another one right away, pushing up that D side, though, to the 50-yard line. But bodies continue to drop for UConn, not able to stay alive in their bunkers. They do have a good field position here in the snake side 50, but he gets taken out. You're looking at the action on the D side, and here comes Fresno State trying to take this lead against UConn.
Yeah, it looks like the last body is William Sheehan again over there in the snake side corner, but he did not see that Osageta was in his side of the field all the way in the Dorito 1, shooting him in the side. So Fresno State right there, they get Deans into that snake 1. He got his kills across the field. Connor Tluck got into the 50 right away for UConn. He got his kills across the field, but UConn losing too many bodies early off that Dorito side of the field. There's Deans getting shot out of snake 1 right in the goggles, but not after he shot a bunch of bodies off the Dorito side of UConn.
Hey, you do your damage in the snake, and you try to play as tight in there as you possibly can, but you can't hide in the snake. You have to be proactive. If you're a 1 or a 2 and you get in that snake, you cannot rest on your laurels. You need to be pushing forward and trying to actively look for those shots. Dean has been doing a good job of that so far at this event. Fresno State now up 1 against UConn with 2 minutes and 10 seconds to go. So, man, what a great match, dude. Back and forth. This has been a really good game of paintball to watch. Next up, coming up after this match, Florida State Seminoles is going to be taking on the Akron Zips.
Yeah, and that should be a good game to watch over there. You know, both of these teams. I think Florida State's pretty new to the top division out here. We've seen the Akron Zips. You know, we saw them last year. You know, played some pretty good paintball. You know, going to be exciting to watch, but you know, this game right here is where it's going down.
Well, the coolest thing to me, Todd, I love coming to the college tournament because, you know, every year you see, you know, players rotate in and out of these teams as some of the stars graduate and get some new fresh blood in there, or get a new guy into the organization that hadn't been on the team before. Maybe he played some paintball, found out, oh my God, there's actually college paintball. You know, I didn't even know you could do this. And then they get on the team and start getting reps and start proving themselves. And that's what it's all about. As we start to see these teams progress through Friday's competition into Saturday's competition, seeing who the best teams are out here. Also, individually, we start to see who is going to step up for each squad.
Yes, here comes UConn again.
Oh, look at this big move by the Bulldogs.
Oh, and Deans gets a shot right in on the goggles right away across the field of a UConn player. And UConn also loses 1 body off the snake side of the field. So there goes number 12, Chase Bauer. He gets shot from Fresno State. UConn throws another body up into the Doritos and gets shot. So Dean's right now going to work. Osageta attacking that 50 Dorito, and he shoots Nick Vernadakis in the back. So just one body left alive. Oh, and Runowitz gets shot out of the snake side corner.
And Todd, what were we just talking about? We were just talking about who's going to step up for their teams, who is going to stand up and be like, hey, you know what? I'm a player to watch. I'm going to be shooting a ton of guys for my squad. Hey, watch me spin and then try to emulate that. Well, Deans runs a beautiful route, dives over the yellow portion of the snake. Look at this. Look at Dean. Runs low. He realizes he's getting shot at. Boom, Superman dive right over the yellow portion into the 50 of the snake, and then bam, he starts chopping bodies up crossfield. The rest of his boys, as soon as they see the guns start shifting, and there's UConn just getting blasted from both sides of the field. UConn had no answer for Fresno State in that point, and now they're looking at a 2-point deficit that they're going to have to come back from in just 1 minute and 29 seconds. Todd, I don't know if they can do it.
Yeah, I mean, very doable, but very, very tough. You know, and especially the way that Fresno State's been playing out here. These points have been so close. You know, that's one of the quickest points that we've seen so far right there. But a good heads-up play by Deans to recognize he's been running to the snake on the break every single game. And you saw UConn set up to shoot him. They ran out to that small pin on the Dorito side of the field, shooting for Deans, shooting that cut on the inside, and he ran just to the inside of it. And that little bit of adjustment makes such a huge difference when somebody's laying down a lane of paint. Dean's able to come across the inside, get straight into that 50, and shoot the player that gunned up for him right in the face.
It's all look at Matt Deans is like, you know what, can't handle me. A little bit too much Matt Deans right now for UConn. Matt Deans for Fresno State just could, you know, they couldn't stop him out there, man. They didn't shoot him off the break. They almost did. You could see he really had to hunker down and dig to make that spot off the break.
Yeah, and Deans, you know, really smart out there. Once he gets into the 50, he knows exactly where he needs to look, who's going to be shooting at him, who's setting up, and getting his kills right away. He slid into that 50, came right out the backside, and put one ball right in the middle of the forehead of the player for UConn.
So here we go on the breakout. And now Fresno State bottom portion screen to UConn. UConn on the left, Fresno State on the right. And now Fresno State a little bit more conservative of a breakout for them. Heavy guns off the break for them and starting to drop bodies from UConn. UConn losing 2, only 3 left alive for them. Fresno State pushing their advantage, moving up in the center and on the D side of the field. No one in the snake yet though for Fresno State.
Yeah, Fresno State got a couple kills on the break and now playing very smart, not forcing anything and dropping bodies. Boothby got bounced on the break, but he came out, and now he is in the 50 snake, and he is going to go to work across the field. Has a shot across on that Dorito side corner. Almost sneaks one in right there.
Yeah, Todd, in under a minute to play, only 42 seconds left to go. And with the field position that Fresno State has with Boothby and the snake, it's really going to be tough for UConn. I mean, do they even have, yeah, they have one player left alive on the back corner bunker on the D side, and it's going to be really tough for him. I mean, there's really almost no way he's going to be able to get anything done from there, Todd. He's just stuck in that back bunker. I mean, he's literally going to have to shoot 4 bodies out of their bunkers, and it's impossible. So with just 18 seconds to go, it looks like the Fresno State Bulldogs are going to pull out this victory here against UConn.
Yeah, so good job, good execution right there by Fresno State to get those kills on the break and then play it smart, run this clock all the way down, and then get that last point. So Fresno State in a back and forth grinder all the way up until the last 3 minutes of the game when Fresno State finally kicked it into another gear, able to run up 3 straight points and take the win over UConn 10-7.
Yeah, beautiful work by the boys on Fresno State. So next up coming at you, it's going to be Florida State Seminoles and the Akron Zips. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to see, like we talked about early on if you just tuned in, but the thing is that, you know, there's a lot of new faces this year at the NCPA. A lot of new guys, new teams, and so I'm looking forward to seeing who step up. We just saw Matt Dean step up as Fresno State took that victory against UConn. So, but before we sign off and head to our next game, let's check in with Amy Campbell on the sidelines.
Yeah, guys, I'm here with Michael Boothby. Exciting win for you guys, back and forth the whole time. What was this battle like?
Oh man, it was frustrating. We were getting penalties. We were getting we were shooting guys off break, and we were getting to our bunkers and dying in our bunkers. Once we started getting things going, we were living our bunkers. You saw Matt Deans in our snake doing some phenomenal plays down there. We lost our big good snake out last year, and he just filled it right that in. And our Dorito side's really pushing hard. And it's just good. We're taking G's off break and it's taking it to them. We're from the West Coast with Long Beach, and we just want to show what we got from over here on the East Coast.
What do you think was the turning point when you started to kind of overcome some of those mental mistakes?
I would say when we were down that crucial point when they got ahead that one point, and we came back and just took it to them even when we had a guy in the box, and we won that point. And we just took the momentum and kept going from there, and we didn't lose a point after that.
All right, thanks so much. Best of luck in the next game. Guys?
All right, thanks, Amy. Yeah, man, congratulations. Fresno State Bulldogs taking that victory over UConn Huskies. We'll be right back with the Florida State Seminoles taking on the Akron Zips to finish the morning's competition, and then a full afternoon of more paintball here from the NCPA Championships. We'll see you in just a few moments.